Here for the Lowe's early Black Friday deals? You're right on time for some of our biggest savings. We're talking up to 50% off select major appliances. Plus, up to an extra 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. Holiday lights going up soon? Select ladders are up to 50% off right now. Get Black Friday prices without the Black Friday crowds. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 11/19. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
In a so-called free state, officials and stakeholders concoct solutions to problems often created by other bureaucrats and with little regard for infringements on the people. These stories are born at the apex of freedom and entrepreneurship. We foolishly advocate for the taxpayer. Brian's Beat presents Freedom Fools.
Hour 2 of Freedom Fools on WBSM. Nice Saturday afternoon. And, of course, we're going to take your calls. We're going to start with Melissa, then Ross, Mayor Mitchell, all joining us as we remember Bruce Oliveira, who passed away yesterday. And before we go to Melissa Costa, let me get to the Brian's Beat quote of the day. What worries you, masters you. What worries you, masters you. That is from John Locke. What worries you, masters you. Well, one thing that I noticed when I did an interview with this person I'm having fun with the buttons over here. The last time I had Melissa Costa in studio was about 3 months ago, and we were talking about various school issues. She is back today. This might not be a school issue, but it affects everybody dealing with New Bedford schools. Melissa Costa, good afternoon, and welcome back to Freedom Fools.
Good afternoon, Barry. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, I'll call myself Brian. You can call me Barry. That's okay. That's okay. Oh, my goodness.
How you be?
Yeah, well, okay. Be that way. See if but seriously, I reached out to you and other sitting members of the school committee because you lost a brother the other day. And it's going to be pretty tough, I think, with you 6 members starting off the year.
Yes, it's going to be a very heavy lift.
So in your 4 years, and congratulations on getting another 4.
Thank you.
What do you remember most about Bruce?
Bruce was an institutional knowledge. His ability to understand and implement parliamentary procedures was impeccable. Whenever I had a question about how to bring something forward, or, he would lay it all out for me. I was fortunate to serve with him also on the Finance and Operations Subcommittee. His understanding of the budget and formulas and making sure that our youth get what they need and what they deserve was super admirable. And, those shoes will never be filled. It's not going to be that they're going to be hard to be filled. They're just not going to be filled. His ability and his knowledge base, like I said, his thinking about the way he was with the buildings and the structures and, so intricate and involved throughout all of the procedures and the process. That's just a knowledge base that we don't have currently on our school committee. That was filled by Bruce.
It's my understanding, both reading in one of the publications and from hearing from other members of the school committee, that Bruce Oliveira was also pretty instrumental in getting the school-based health clinic that's supposed to open up and running. Is that true?
Yeah, he really understood the needs of our community and was a fierce advocate for making sure that we were moving in that direction, that we were continuously making progress, assessing the needs of our community and how we can fill those needs, from the central kitchen, which was when I first got on, and the student health center, to the new Congdon Duval School. He was so proud of that. He was so looking forward to us opening in January of 27 to that. Even on last Monday, well, I guess almost 2 Mondays ago during a finance and operations. He talked about the signing of the beams that the children were going to be doing and inviting us to that. And even at last Monday's school committee meeting, he highlighted that as well, like what a pleasure that was to be a part of and to watch all their little faces as, they're getting ready to build a new school. Well, they are building a new school. And part of, the other new schools that we're looking to build, that was all Bruce.
It sounds, you stated it earlier, and since it comes so quickly, it sounds like Bruce is going to be irreplaceable. However, people are going to step in. If Bruce were going to be at the next meeting, what do you think he would be? What project do you think he would be working on?
All of them simultaneously. His a bit, like I said, with the Student Health Center, he was a big part in understanding about, I don't know if it was a gas line or a water line that had to go from the actual facility to the street. He was involved in that. He was involved, like I said, on the Congdon DeVals. I know that we are currently looking at the Ashley Swift. He, just has a really good understanding and grasp of MSBA, which is the Massachusetts Building Authority for schools. Just an extreme knowledge base. So he had the ability to be working it all.
Wow. I'm listening to each and every different project, and I don't doubt that Bruce had his fingers in all of those pies. I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking, wow, if that's the case, how do you move forward?
The one thing about Bruce is that he was about the work. And so we get the privilege of honoring his memory and his legacy by continuing the work. And knowing that he, as we talk about Congdon DeVals opening in January of 2027, in another year plus, knowing that Bruce had a piece of that. Knowing Ashley Swift, which is several years out, knowing that he had a piece of that. And so we get to continue to honor him by doing the work, by throwing ourselves into the work and really putting our fingers on the pulse and our ears to the ground and making sure that every decision we make is in the best interest of the children, families, and community that we are fortunate to serve in our capacity.
Very well stated. Melissa Costa, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate you carving out a little time of your Saturday afternoon for the show today.
Thank you. I just want to really quickly, I'm just getting back from the Massachusetts Association School Committee conference.
Yeah.
And was very blessed and fortunate, that we paid a moment of silence to Bruce, to our brother Bruce from the Massachusetts School Committees. I had several members from across the state pay their respects and send their condolences to the school committee, to the community, to his family, on behalf of hundreds of people across the state that came up to honor him, as well as, they have also shared posts on social media. I had a field organizer come to me and just say, last time I was in New Bedford, he was so proud of the work he had done at Siemens Bethel, took me on a tour of the building. Bruce's, I don't think we'll ever be able to truly grasp the ripple effect and the legacy that he's left on our community. And we're better for it.
I think you're right. I think his fingerprints are all over the city of New Bedford.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Melissa Costa, thank you. Really appreciate you coming on today. No problem.
Thanks, Brian.
No problem. Thank you. We will be hearing from Mayor Mitchell and Ross Grace Jr. a little bit later on during the program this afternoon. If you would like to make a comment about Bruce Oliveira, you're more than welcome to do so at 508-996-0500. And I know a couple of you tried to get in during hour number one when I had Rick Porter in studio. We were talking about a number of things dealing with education. And I think just going back over the conversation with Rick in particular, towards the end, I brought up about more virtual education and maybe as a step forward for a city like New Bedford to not only retain more students and also reach out to the students that might be a little apprehensive about going to a New Bedford school for whatever reason, and also as a way to attract students from other communities that might want to do virtual, but they can't get into a TECA, that they could piggyback on New Bedford, obviously bring their money. New Bedford doesn't pay for it, but, some way to build up a virtual learning center, because you've got this city, the technology is there, and why not use it? Well, Rick's thought process is you're not going to be able to beat having that face-to-face contact. And I think 9 out of 10 times, 8 out of 10 times, he is absolutely correct. But you've got those 2 out of 10. And more importantly, from my standpoint, it's not the school committee's decision. It's not the school department's decision. It's not a principal or a teacher's decision. That's a family decision. And I think that we may have a disagreement on something like that. So be it. It is far beyond me why in this day and age we still come back to the system. Not only do they get our money, but then they tell us what is going to be best. They may listen, but it's like they've got the final say. And I've got a huge problem. You've heard me long enough. I have a huge problem with that. And one of the problems that I see, not pointing a finger, but with school committees, with DESE and school boards, is they really think that they know what's best. It's not that they haven't seen a lot. I know they have. But each family is different. Each child in a family is different. And I don't think a system, be it New Bedford, Dartmouth, Boston, Minden, they all have their own little quirks, and within their quirks, there are other quirks. All right, let's hear from you, 508-996-0500. Thank you. Hello.
Hey, Barry. How you doing?
Oh, Barry's doing well. Thank you.
Okay. Bruce, who was that? Was it Bruce Porter you said his name was?
Rick Porter.
Rick Porter. I tried to call in because I really don't think he understands, like, how the average person sees school systems these days. When he makes the comment that, families got to bring the kids in. We're gonna socialize the kids. You do more than socialize at school. You're propagandized at school. Schools are almost like madrasas at this point, politically. And the schools teach, and are they supposed to teach, and are they supposed to help with some social skills? Yeah, but that's 8 hours a day. But some of these people, like Rick Porter, feel that once the kid is born and he's 5 years old, or she's 5 years old, we got him from here. Well, no, you don't. And a lot of the policies and procedures going on in school systems today are counter family. They're counter, if you happen to have a conservative family or you have a Catholic family, they're anti-religion. They're anti-conservative values. Not that you want to teach politics in schools, especially elementary, middle school, but the school system has done that. It's not something the parents wanted to have happen, for sure.
Well, you call it politics. I'm not quite that I would. I might call it ideology.
Well, yeah, it's a cousin to politics, so go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, I hear you. So, I guess I come, and you hear me enough. It's a matter of what the people are going to do about it. And I think if these school systems don't figure it out, then artificial intelligence will.
Well, I mean, if you look at the broader scheme of things, people don't like how the government's run in Massachusetts. They're leaving. The same with other states. And if they don't like how the school system is being run, they're pulling their kids out and they're going to alternatives. And it could mean that I have a friend that lived in Fresno 2.5 years ago, and he and his family moved from Fresno to South Carolina because what's going on in California was all about the school system. It had nothing else to do with anything else. It's just they were done with the California school system. So anyway, yeah, I think Rick Porter is like he's reading the same tea leaves that they've been trying to push for a long time, but that's not the reality of today.
Well, you know, to stick up for Rick, if I can,
sure.
I think he has been a part of the system for 35 years. It's what he knows.
Exactly.
And sometimes, you know, not that he's trying to be a bad guy, but that's what he was taught. And,
right.
You know, how much he really believes it or not, I don't know. I'm going to take him at face value, but that is how he has, you know, how we talk about groomers. That's how he has been groomed over the past 35 years.
Right. Hey, listen, have a great weekend, Brian. Thank you.
You too. No problem. Thank you for your call. Do appreciate it. And now what I'd like to do, if I can get this button to perform, maybe I can, maybe I can't. But we're now going to hear from New Bedford School Committee member, outgoing Ross Grace Jr. Good afternoon, and how are you?
Good afternoon, Brian, man. Thank you for having me on. Just some somber news, Brian. Some very somber news. I saw him Monday, Brian, and I was looking at him. You know, in the back of your mind, you know he's dealing with the condition, and you've seen him through different stages. And I was looking at him in the back of my mind. I was like, he's looking pretty good. And he conducted himself as a professional. He made his reports Monday. It just seemed like the regular, everyday thing. We went to our executive session. There was just nothing to indicate the shocking news that we would all hear that's hit our community so hard on Thursday. I thought he was taking a turn, but it just reminds you to be grateful for each and every day, you know?
Really?
Bruce was just a really, really good, solid guy. And
yeah, so let's talk about that. Solid guy. You got to work with him for almost 4 years. What was that like?
Yeah. So when I first ran, obviously, I was not running against, except the three incumbents at the time that I was trying to get in were Jack Livamento, Chris Carter, Bruce Oliveira. And so I'd participate in the forums, and I had my preconceived notions of all of them, not knowing any of them too well but Jack. But Bruce always showed up. He was always well-spoken, and I was, not to say captivated, but he spoke in a way that was very simple, that was very sincere. Once I got on the committee, I didn't realize just the wealth of knowledge he really was. We had talked quite a bit, and he knew I was from Brickenwood, and he'd introduce himself as like, it's your brother from Brickenwood. And I knew he had coached Little League Baseball, but he was a phenomenal baseball coach down in the Whaling City. He was one of those guys that I call a New Bedford guy. He was an average, everyday person who just decided to give a little bit back to the community, and it was sincere. You run into people from all walks of life with different agendas, but he was what I term a New Bedford guy. He worked in the housing authority, which would, help the average everyday camper. When you're coaching Little League Baseball, you're taking time out of your schedule, out of your life to impact other young boys and girls throughout the community. In our school committee, I value my strength on having my relationship with the people in the building and being able to be a conduit of what's really going on in the front line to the administration in as effective way as possible. Bruce was magical with understanding the finances, the budget, and what parts of money were available, and how to make sure that they were being allocated in a common sense way into the buildings. He was magnificent at that.
Ross, let me ask you, in saying that, in the 4 years, is there any one particular project that you said not only was he good at it, but I mean, he not only took care of the taxpayers' money, but he produced an excellent project?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we had like the ESSA funds and all that, except just I say like this gets minimized, but the beautification and the upgrade of the buildings, he made sure that there was resource for that. He was also big time into the sporting program, the athletic program. Like he had a passion for that, and he would push and advocate for for the resources to be delved there.
Technical snafu, and I'm real sorry. Let me try that again. Are you there?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. No, my technical snafu. Go ahead.
Okay. So basically, in terms of the upgrade of the just say the windows or the doors or adding the extensions to Carter Brooks, these are all things that are necessary, and he was a champion of all that, and he helped sit down with the financial people to make sure that stuff was done in a way where, there was still a surplus within the budget. Like, he was just really good at that. But then going back to the sporting thing, because I didn't realize his passion for it, he made sure we had top of the line stuff. Like, they redone the pool at the high school. He was big time into sports, which I think is good because that's where a lot of the pride comes from for the city. We used to be a dynamic program, but, just getting to know him, and he did a lot for the sporting program. So those were the things that stuck out in my mind in particular, like the upgrade and the quality of just the space and just the aesthetics of the buildings, which are important. And the other piece that that really stuck in my mind was his commitment to the athletics program at the high school. But more than anything, he was just a man of character. Like, there were times where we didn't always agree, but it was never ugly. It was never disrespectful. He was always very even-keeled. He would respectfully disagree, and he would stick to his grounds. I think the last conversation we had, Brian, was on the safety zones. He wasn't in favor of it, but he wasn't bashing it. He didn't come back around the corner to say, hey, Ross, I really don't like you, or, that's really, really foolish or anything like that. He was outvoted, and he kept it classy as a gentleman. And whenever there was some type of disagreement or something that you may not have been on the same page with, it never got ugly. He kept it moving. He kept it professional. He kept it classy. Just a good all-around human being. And I got the call yesterday afternoon, I'm sure around the same time a lot of everybody else was getting it. And literally my heart had dropped because I was just reading an email correspondence from him on Thursday. We had just seen each other Monday. And it shows how precious life is. And I still don't know the details. The details are none of my business. But he looked like he was doing well. He fought to the bitter end. And had I not known that he had that serious a condition, I would have just thought it was weight loss or something, because he carried himself about like a gentleman going about business on behalf of the city. He was just one of those shining stars that New Bedford has. We have a lot of them, but he's one of those underlying guys that, some parts of the city know him better than others, but he was a champion for the entire city of New Bedford.
That you have stated that, and so have others that have come on. Chris and Melissa both making a very similar statement. Let me ask you, as we talk about Bruce Oliveira, you talked about back when you lived in the projects. If I'm not mistaken, Bruce Oliveira is a product of the projects too, and I think that's another reason that he has those kind of roots. It's funny, you can take the kid out of the project, but you can't take the project out of the kid.
So he always stood committed, and again, he stood committed to the average New Bedford person, the person who didn't come up with a silver spoon in the mouth, the person, the child or the family who didn't have everything going for him. He made sure that whatever he did, he had that in mind. And we would joke around about the Brickenwood thing because I had never known that. He's a little bit older than me, but he came up in the generation before me, and he knew the streets. He knew all the old timers who were still there. And so we would joke around about it. And I think there is something to be said about people who grow up just, not born with everything. I mean, you are born with everything when you have love and you have people around you who care about you. Except, if you're coming from, public housing, there's some stigmas to that.
There might be, but that doesn't mean that folks don't have love. And I get the feeling that he did because he certainly knew how to share it.
He sure did, and that's what I'm getting to. He was able to relate to the community, and he understood the way the average person from the neighborhood, how they talked, what their needs were, and he volunteered his time. And again, when you're working in housing, you're not working with the millionaires and billionaires and well-to-do. You're working with people who may have some ups and downs, the goods and bads. Except that was it's a reflection of his character.
Can I say it like this, Ross?
Yes.
Because you and I have known each other for several years, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, you know how you volunteer your time?
Yes.
Okay. You know how your beginnings began?
Yeah, yes, I do.
Do you see a resemblance?
Yeah, I really do.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah,
it's that giving back because you know what you lacked at the beginning, and you're trying to help others get over it. Obviously, you two are from different sides of the track, but the beginnings were pretty much the same.
There's a difference when you read about something or you see something on TV and when you actually live it, because you have the experience behind it. You see how the people interact. You see the struggles that come with it. You see the wins that come with it. You learn, especially as you get older, it's not all about the financial thing. It's about having that love, whether you're in the projects or whether you're in whatever the case may be. But as a guy who grew up in the housing projects, you have a real good sense of community, especially back then, because we go to each other's house borrowing butter or if we needed some milk. You grow up with that understanding. You grow up with that sense of connectivity, and then you want to kind of share because it worked for you. You know what I'm saying? It worked for your family, and so you know how to work together, and you don't ever lose that sense of what it's like to come up from a certain economic background, and then if you're able to move up financially or politically, whatever the case may be, you're always going to remember your roots, and so you have an understanding of it, and you give back to it, and that's what Bruce really, really brought to the table as a human being. And if you look at all the lines of work of volunteer he did, it was always about reinvesting or investing in people from the background he came from, or like the background I came from, and it made him an effective leader. And I think that's what also made him such an understanding person. And I can't accentuate that enough because, again, there were differences on school committee. But he had this class, this elegance. He had this way of listening. He could always repeat to you what you said to him, so he was really hearing what you said. And if he was on the same side with you, then you'd, vote in unison. And if he had a disagreement, he would go his way. He'd be able to articulate why. He had no problem staying in front of the public, right in front of the cameras. He stuck his ground, whether it was popular or not. I've seen him take some stances that at least the people in the audience weren't too fond of.
Gotcha.
And he stood his ground, and he did it as a gentleman.
Gotcha. Ross Grace Jr., let me ask you, you have a few more weeks, and then your term expires. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, I'll tell you right now, I said in my post that I am being relatively selfish. I'm really enjoying my house by the beach. I just worked really hard for it. It's just one of those dreams. As a kid from Brickenwood, I always wanted to be out here. I want to travel a little bit more, but I will be active. I have some things in mind, Brian. Don't think I'm just going to fade away into the background. Right. No, you're Brian Toms. I'm sorry. But let me tell you right now, Brian. Right now, I do have some plans, and it definitely won't be the last you've seen of me in terms of the community work I do.
Sounds good.
4 years is a long time. If it was 2 years, I really, really, really would have considered 4 years. I was thinking about my age, how old I'd be at that time, Brian. So, but no, I'm going to finish my term off the best that I can, and Ross Grace isn't going anywhere. I'm a New Bedford kid, just like Bruce Oliveira, so I'll be involved and I'll be around.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, thanks for calling in. I really do appreciate you coming on and saying those great words about Bruce.
No, it's a blessing, and thank you for having me on, Brian.
No problem.
Take good care and have a good afternoon.
You too.
All right.
508-996-0500. We're going to take a break, and we're going to hear from Mayor Mitchell and, of course, from you on the program today. It's not all about Bruce Oliveira, but we are talking about Bruce. We are giving those last words. And if you'd like to add your 2 cents, you're more than welcome to do so. But we also had earlier Rick Porter, who is new to the New Bedford School Committee. And if you'd like to talk about the conversation we had during hour number 1, knock it out.
AI is going to be devastating the teaching field.
This is WBSM.
You know, most people are not business owners, but just about everybody knows one. The dirty little secret is most owners don't qualify for a bank loan because they lack collateral. At Legitimate Business Funders, owners can get up to $2 million in funding with no collateral, even with a low credit score. And they can get that funding in a couple of days. Find Legitimate Business Funders online at legitimatebusinessfunders.com. legitimatebusinessfunders.com.
Lowe's knows that saving is always top of mind, especially this season. That's why we've picked some great deals for early Black Friday. Get free select DeWalt, Cobalt, or Craftsman tools when you buy a select battery or combo kit. More tools? Why not? Plus, we've got select pre-lit artificial Christmas trees starting at $59.98 because it's never too early to think Christmas. Get Black Friday prices without the crowds. Lowe's, we help, you save. While supplies last, selection varies by location.
You've finally broken loose from work. 3 friends, 1 tea time, and then the text. Honey, there's water in the basement. Not exactly how you pictured your Saturday. That's when you call us, Cincinnati Insurance. We always answer the call because real protection means showing up, even when things are in the rough. Cincinnati Insurance. Let us make your bad day better. Find an agent at CINFIN.com.
There's no better fool than the Freedom Fools. Now, back to Brian.
I said a government's a way, way, way too big. Government's a way, way, way too big. You know that government's a way, way, way too big. So tell us what you gonna do to make it small. Your move.
Welcome back to Freedom Fools on WBSM. I was just reading a little bit from the post that Mayor Mitchell put up yesterday in regards to Bruce Oliveira. The first sentence encapsulates the whole thing. It is difficult to overstate Bruce's impact on the city. And so let's find out exactly what that impact was and how Mayor Mitchell feels. Mayor, good afternoon. Welcome to Freedom Fools.
Well, great to be with you, Brian. Thanks for inviting me on to talk about my good friend, everybody's good friend, Bruce Oliveira.
Yeah, it's just a whole sad experience. You know, death is sad no matter what, but when you're not expecting it, I mean, it's just like a gut punch.
Yeah, it really is. And, you know, for people, when you're losing a friend abruptly, as we've all experienced, and if you haven't experienced it, you will. That's life. It really is painful, of course. But, you know, I took time to write out that tribute to Bruce because I think there has to be, seems to me, a record of sorts of what he accomplished in his life. The headline, of course, is school committee member dies unexpectedly, right? And he held that title and he did that job very, very well. But he was a lot more than that. I mean, Bruce Oliveira was in some ways a throwback to an earlier time when you had when people used to join organizations and contribute their energy and their time and their finances to their success for the purpose of making everybody better off. And I don't know anybody, I've never encountered anybody in my life who devoted themselves to one worthy cause after another, oftentimes all at once, and doing it just because he wanted to help others. And it's not just like, I'm not just talking about somebody who wanted to set out to do public service for its own sake in some very intentional way. It just came very naturally to him. And I think maybe the secret sauce for Bruce is that he just knew how to be a good friend. And being a good friend meant he was somebody you could count on, somebody who would come through, and somebody, because of that, would generate a whole lot of goodwill among others who themselves would step up for those causes. So there were lots of them, of course. I mean, he served on the school committee and the housing authority for a long time and did both of those jobs very ably and brought a lot of credibility to both of those boards. But he was instrumental in leading, you name it, the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick, the New Bedford Gridiron Club. He was in the leadership of New Bedford Country Club for a while. He coached Little League Baseball at Whaling City in the North End for over 30 years. He was the treasurer at Greater New Bedford Voc Tech. He was on the board of the New Bedford Port Society and was instrumental in the renovation, frankly, the saving of the Siemens Bethel, probably the most historic property in the region. That could go on, but suffice it to say is that you see, especially in obituaries, somebody a list of organizations that people just joined or are in some way affiliated with. I mean, Bruce's impact was much broader than just sort of joining up. As important as joining up is, I mean, he led, he contributed, he brought people in, and he made those organizations stronger. And I say all this because he's a close personal friend, and I feel badly, I feel very saddened by his passing, and he was close to my family. And vice versa. But I also, as the mayor, want everybody to know that this is the kind of person we wish we could clone over and over again to make a stronger city. What Bruce did over the course of his entire life was just to make the city a stronger place. And I noted in my comment, and that it's no exaggeration that. If you ask me, like, who's the person you think has the most friends in the city of New Bedford? It immediately would be Bruce Oliveira, hands down. Wow. Not even a close second, right? Because he was connected to so many people, but not just new people. He was friends with them, and that's when you sort of add up. You try to take stock of your life at the end of at the end of things, Brian. If you can say you had a lot of friends, you've done pretty well.
I was listening to your comments, and it's echoed. Ross Grace Jr. was on before you. Melissa Costa. Yesterday we had Chris Cotter. How much do you attribute to Bruce's outreach comes from his humble beginnings?
Well, I think that some of that is true. I think he was very grounded. He grew up in the Brookenwood housing development on Hathaway Road, and which back then was, primarily veterans housing. His father was in the Army, and so I think that grounded him. It certainly informed his work on the housing authority board. He had, I think he had a certain empathy for people who are in need of housing, for sure. But, Bruce got along with everybody. I mean, part of his childhood was, he used to ride his bike up Hathaway Road from Brookenwood to the New Bedford Country Club to caddy at a very young age. and he did that. He did that very well, and made a lot of friends that way. People who came from, much more substantial means than he. And I think that was sort of, in some ways, a snapshot of his life. I mean, he got along with everybody. He took people at face value, and regardless of where they came from, he didn't say, "Look, I don't want to hang around with rich people. I'm not above any, nor am I above anybody who's come from humble means. I just take people as they come, and I try to be a good person." And I think he got a lot of reciprocation from that goodwill over the course of his life.
So I'm reading from your release that you put up yesterday. Typical of Bruce, on his last day, he was delivering Thanksgiving turkeys to food pantries.
Yeah, he was doing that. The Friendly Sons have that drive every year, and he never missed it. He was always involved in that, and but he was also at a number of meetings having to do with school construction projects. And by the way, he was the chair of the finance committee of the school department, and he had one of the things he brought to the table that's less heralded was a finance background. Bruce was professionally an electrician and was in the IBEW for a number of years and managed their pension fund for many years, and so he had a certain financial acumen that he brought to all of his affairs. And so you see with a lot of these organizations he belonged to, they pulled him in to be the treasurer of just about every single one of them at some point because they trusted him, but they also knew he knew what he was doing with money. And so I think that was a big part of it. In fact, he started up a side gig at one point after he retired. He started doing tax preparation. He started preparing people's tax returns. He had a little office right by Trucci's upon Cushionett Avenue and a little strip mall. And he got overwhelmed by it because so many people wanted him to do their taxes for him. He had to finally, I don't think he had fully given up. He was trying to wind it down because he was running out of time with it. But, to my mind, it was a testament to the fact that people trusted him. You go to people, you have someone prepare your tax returns only if you trust that they know what they're doing. You're not going to, so you don't get in trouble with the IRS. Yeah. So that typified him.
So what do you do now? I'm going to put on your ex officio hat for a sec. And Bruce is not going to be there. The finance committee is one of the top committees of the school committee. And certainly the budget is, almost job one of what you guys do. How do you guys move forward?
Well, Bruce wouldn't want us to sort of wallow in things, and he'd want us to figure it out. And so I would say this: that we'll certainly discuss that when the time comes. And he's going to be honored this week. The services are this week, and after that's done, then we'll turn our attention to filling what is a very substantial void, not only on the school committee, but in the housing authority, but in a whole lot of other organizations around the city.
Shoes going to be difficult to fill? Are they fillable?
Yeah, we have no choice but to make it happen. But it won't be easy. But as I said, I think we'll figure all that out after we honor Bruce.
I think Melissa Costa pretty much stated that there isn't going to be another Bruce.
No, Bruce really made his mark. He just set a really good example how to treat people with respect. And you hear that sometimes, and it sounds trite, but he really did live his life in a way that prioritized relationships, prioritized understanding other people. And I don't mean in some sort of affected way, some sort of intentional ways of living by sound like some strict philosophy. It was something that was a core value of his, and and he and I he and I would get into our arguments, as friends though we were. We also would have disputes over, especially school finances and other things, but we always tried to figure out how to put down our swords, and because we're friends, and we wanted to make sure that that friendship prevailed, notwithstanding disagreements. And I think in a day and age, Brian, where people are struggling to understand how to disagree well, we could all take a page out of Bruce's book.
I got you on that. Mayor Mitchell, I want to thank you so much for giving your statement, and not only in writing but right here on the radio station. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Brian.
No problem. Mayor John Mitchell joining us on the program today. And one other thing that I will add about Bruce Oliveira that I did not know until yesterday afternoon, evening, I guess, when I got home. Woman friend and Bruce Oliveira graduated in the same high school class at New Bedford High.
So the biggest question I get asked is, can AIs replace teachers?
This is WBSM.
Here's what's happening this week on Town Square Sunday. We'll talk with author Charles McGrath about his new book, Shipwreck, chronicling some major boating disasters in waters off southern New England and the courageous attempts to save those on board. We'll also speak with author Philomena Tripp, a remarkable woman who's overcome one hurdle after another in her life. And we'll update the ongoings at the Dartmouth Cultural Center and find out why their new 30-year lease from the town is so important to the organization's future. I'm Jim Phillips. Join me for Town Square Sunday, Sunday morning at 6 and 11 on 1420 WBSM 99.5 FM.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-221-6085. 800-221-6085. 800-221-6085. That's 800-221-6085.
Here for the Lowe's early Black Friday deals? You're right on time for some of our biggest savings. We're talking up to 50% off select major appliances, plus up to an extra 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. Holiday lights going up soon? Select ladders are up to 50% off right now. Get Black Friday prices without the Black Friday crowds. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 11/19. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Freedom Pools on WBSM. Here's more with Brian Thomas.
Freedom, that's what I want. Freedom, that's what I need. Freedom to live. Freedom, so I can give.
But now AI comes along and says, well, hang on, how about Jimmy, who doesn't really understand, he's struggling with area and perimeter and geometry, but he's really good at Minecraft. Jimmy's plays hours of Minecraft, loves it. So why doesn't the AI avatar, who is now a deepfake AI avatar, a real person who Jimmy maybe has designed himself, or just drops on and talks to Jimmy in a voice that Jimmy loves, and he talks to him every day. But he's going to teach Jimmy through tools that Jimmy understands.
And welcome back. Quite the hour. We wrapped it up with Mayor Mitchell talking about Bruce Oliveira, Ross Grace Jr. Also in there, Melissa Costa got us started at the beginning, after ABC News at the beginning. These are people that at least once a month, if not more, had intimate contact with, professional contact with Bruce Oliveira. And I believe he will be sorely missed. And I can't help but think whether we are listening to Melissa and Chris Cotter yesterday, don't want to leave him out, but any of them, whether we're talking about the schools that are underway, those projects, the health center, which many of you know that I'm against. But, here's what I would say. In that spirit of camaraderie or understanding, I'm not for the school-based health center, but it's coming. And I know Bruce Oliveira was pretty big. There was a huge story a few weeks back where he...
Here for the Lowe's early Black Friday deals? You're right on time for some of our biggest savings. We're talking up to 50% off select major appliances, plus up to an extra 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. Holiday lights going up soon? Select ladders are up to 50% off right now. Get Black Friday prices without the Black Friday crowds. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 11/19. Selection varies by location. Select locations only. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.